welcome everybody. We're so glad to have you, and we are happy to have Jeffrey Morlock back with us again today. Yes, this is going to be fun. So before we get down to brass tacks, because we're going to be just a questioning Jeffrey here, we are going to go over to Julia. So yes. Julia, you've got some stuff to share with us.
Yes, and it's because I'm doing this for the first time as well. I just wanted to mention a couple things, and a really good idea came our way, and we just want to let people know that ONPASSIVE has a wonderful public webinar on Tuesdays. It's 1 o'clock Pacific time. It's on the coast, the West Coast, 4 o'clock Eastern, the East Coast, and for our UK, Ireland friends, it's 8 p.m. I finally got it right, 8 p.m. because of the time change. So you'll want to get back to the person who actually invited you here to get more information, or you can go to our pages at TN and Grow Wealth Together, that's for Tyra, or myself, Julia, at AJ Internet Solutions. Also, while I have your attention, both Tyra and I would really tremendously appreciate if you could follow us on Facebook. Again, the same pages, AJ Internet Solutions and TN Grow Wealth Together, or subscribe to, I should say, our YouTube pages. That would be absolutely wonderful. All of these interviews and our past interviews, our future interviews, any updates on ONPASSIVE will be there. So if you want any information, you will not go wrong about ONPASSIVE. You will also get some information about Jeffrey and Tyra and all the other people, and you will be included. So without further delay, I want to pass the torch back to my lovely co-host, Tyra, and introduce again our wonderful guest, Jeffrey Morlock.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Julia. So yeah, here we are with Jeffrey Morlock. I had an opportunity to interview you several months back when I was by myself. And now I get to have backup. So we're going to be a real tag team, and we've got some questions. Yeah. And like I said, when we invited people on, that we're hoping to be able to do a bit of Q&A time also. So of course, this is not a time, you know, we go over this a lot of times with our founder. This is with our founder meetings. This is not a time to be saying, when's the soft launch? When's the hard launch? We all know as founders, we can head into the back office and we can get that figured out with what's going on. But if you have questions pertaining to, maybe you're wanting to share this with people, and you have a question like, how do I do this, or whatever, you know, there's all kind of questions people might have. Go ahead and you can put that in the chat, and Julie's gonna keep an eye on that, and then we can see about getting your question answered. But we're gonna jump in, Jeffrey.
Yes.
So one of the first questions I have for you is, if a person becomes a founder, will that be for life? Because, you know, with other things, you wonder, okay, this isn't an investment, it's not an MLM, you know, so when people become founders, is it for life?
That's a good question. A lot of people have that and want to know. You're absolutely right. It can be. The only way that it isn't is for the founder to request a refund and to delete the account. Okay. So generally speaking, anybody that buys into and pays the $97 to become, or whatever the price is they pay, because it will go up when we go into the soft launch, which we can talk about later. But as long as you bought in and you are what we are calling an active founder, it is for life. Now, additionally, that is also a limited position. In other words, like Bitcoin is never going to have more than 23 million Bitcoin out there, right? It's capped. Founders, once we hit hard launch, the ability to become a founder is going to disappear. No more founders after that. So what we've got is what we've got. So being a founder is going to make us one of the hunted. 2, 3, 5, 10 years, people are going to be looking for the original founders of ONPASSIVE, okay? And I would fully expect us to hit at least 1 million founders by the time we do a hard launch, but we're expecting 100 million customers the first year afterwards. So to answer your question, yes, to be a founder is a founder for life. It is for legacy, and it will be there for generations, producing residual income for you. And on top of that, the only way not to be, or the only way to not be a founder once you're a founder, is to request a refund and tell, Ash and the team, this isn't for me, I want out, which
Oh,
I can't imagine
don't
anybody
do
doing.
it. So you guys, Jeffrey really knows what he's talking about, because he has been around. We're going to start calling you Grandpa Jeffrey or something. You.
Yeah, I'm not a young
Not
pup.
that you're older than me or anything, but you've been around. When did you start with ONPASSIVE?
There's others that have been in before me. I dallied. I took about a month doing some research before I actually joined. But I ended up joining in November of 2018.
Okay. So
So
that's
pretty quick.
yeah, and you've watched it progress as it's
Yeah.
gone along. And
Oh, absolutely. And it was Mr. Mufara's heart that I heard. That's what solidified it for me. And I think it was by design that I couldn't get the information I wanted. Now there's lots of information out there.
Right.
Boy, I'll tell you, back in December, December of 18, there wasn't any, we didn't even have a name. I mean, GoFounders really wasn't even up and running. It was an idea, it was a concept. And I was like, no, nobody can do this. This is too good to be true. Papa didn't raise a fool. And I told my Jim, the guy that brought me in, I said, Jim, let me do some research. I'll show you why it won't work. And famous last words, here I am, loving life, loving Mr. Mufara, loving ONPASSIVE. It is all great.
That's so marvelous. So Julia, just before we get to your question, the one thing that came up when you were talking about that, Jeffrey, is you did originally write a PDF explaining ONPASSIVE for newcomers, and now you've actually updated that, have you not?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. That book that came out, it was called The Paradigm Shift That Is ONPASSIVE. It started originally. Oh boy, I'm going to tell my secrets here for my shame, right? That started originally as a documentary piece to show why ONPASSIVE wouldn't work. And yeah, and the more I documented, the more information I got, the more I fell in love with it. And then I had to join GoFounders to get more information. I couldn't get any information. And I thought, I don't know who Mr. Mufara is, but he is pure genius, because the information for me, I got to join to get the information. And I thought that was genius at the time. I was like, the guy said he knows marketing, he knows what he's doing. But when I came on board and I listened to the first 2 and 3 webinars that he had done, it was the way that he was coming across, and it was his heart that was coming out, and the intention that was coming out, that really drew me in, that drew me to ONPASSIVE and drew ONPASSIVE to me. And that's when I went, okay, I'm going to take everything I've got, I'm going to turn it into a marketing piece for me, because this is going to be great. And that's what the book became, is a marketing piece that I started giving to other founders, primarily through Facebook, that I was meeting, and said, here, I've got an ebook here. Let me give this to you. And it tells you a lot more than you probably know about ONPASSIVE. Mr. Mufara and Cindy Hopkins and some others that were central to the movement at the time got a hold of that. They called me, started talking to me one-on-one and asking me, and everything just bloomed from there. But yes, the ebook, which was called The Paradigm Shift That Is ONPASSIVE, it is still out there. It's been translated into probably about 25, 26, 27 languages. I did update it at the beginning of this year, but it has not been put in the back office. Right. So if you'd like, I'll send you that updated one. You can give it to whoever you want. And it doesn't have any of the old matrices stuff in. I mean, it's just updated. All the new information's in there. So it's very comprehensive still, and it's a good little piece. So but the answer to your question is, yeah, I was the guy that wrote that.
Yes.
That's
So,
wonderful.
so anybody listening, if you've never heard from about OnPassive and you're curious and you want to read something like that, please get back to anyone that has invited you here or is showing you this, and we can definitely, as founders, get it to you so that you can have a read, because it's really well done, Jeffrey.
Yes,
So
very.
go ahead, Julia.
Yeah, so Jeffrey, I have a question for you. I get this question quite a bit. We all know that it's $97 US to become a founder. And that's all great. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before, but a lot of people ask me that, okay, then what do I have to pay after that? What's the bottom line? I don't have a lot of money. I'm not rich. So what would the monthly fee, if it was a monthly fee, be that you have to pay?
Gotcha. Okay, the $97, right off the top, let's address the $97. That is the cost to be a founder. That is all it is. It doesn't include any products. It doesn't include membership down the road. It is a $97 fee for benefits of foundership, which are considerable. Okay. Founders are only allowed now. It's the only membership that we can currently get in pre-launch and also in soft launch. Now, when we start the soft launch, the price will increase, and we can talk about that a little bit later, the difference between where we are now and what that's going to be, that sort of thing. However, I think what you're asking is, okay, I've paid my 97.
Yes.
What else are you going to stick me in the future for? Because I know, okay, so we can get that right out of your head right now. First and foremost, there will be a subscription, which is a monthly subscription that customers, founders, resellers, everybody's going to end up paying. What we are expecting is a one-time out of pocket, right? For I'm gonna put a dollar amount out there, even though we're trying to stay away from dollar amounts. But Mr. Mufara has been saying for quite a while, it will be $250 or less. And sometimes they'll give you, $150 to $250. It's somewhere, we don't really know for sure, but it will be affordable. And what they've got to do is to look at what exactly is it going to cost the company to run? What are the expenditures going to be with everything encompassed? And then we take that number and we start working with the number for the cost of the foundership or the subscription base. Now, what we're expecting, and I'm just going to say 250 or less, we're expecting that to be a one-time out of pocket, because by the second month, we're fully expecting that your profits are going to take care of those from then on out, right? You're going to have a couple of different wallets. One of those wallets will be for your commissions that you can pay the subscriptions. And if you click the button, then your profits are going to start dumping into that first wallet. And when the monthly subscription is hit, so that it's sitting there for the next month, your profits are then going to go into your wallet, which you can start pulling out anytime you want, several times a day, real time. If the money's there and you want it, you don't have to ask permission, anything like that at all.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely does. Thank you very much.
yeah, that's really good. So about a reseller, we hear this a lot. Now, while we're pre-building, we are founders. We're putting it out there for people to join the company as a founder. It's a very exclusive, if you will, position.
Oh, very.
Because it's going to close and that's going to be it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So then once the shift happens and we head into launching to the public, now all of a sudden we're going to be opening the doors to resellers. Do you want to expand on that one?
Sure. You've got a little bit of a process going here, and as long as we're going from founders to resellers, etc., I'm going to back it up a little bit, and I'm going to talk about soft launch, and I'm going to pull it all in together for you, if it's
Perfect.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of folks that want to know, what is soft launch and when are we going to get in it? Because I've heard we're going to get some money. Well, soft launch is quite simply when we start to do some testing of the products that we've got. Okay, we're an IT company, an AI IT company, right? We got lots of AI digital products. We've even got some hardware, some physical products, but we won't talk about those yet. So when we entered and I use that past term because we are in soft launch right now. However, I will say that with this caveat, in that the only reason we're in soft launch is because we've already started and have completed some of the alpha testing on some of the products that we're going to be offering after we launch to the public. And by that, I mean that there's groups within ONPASSIVE, right? The corporate ONPASSIVE, the developers, the engineers, and the staff, and the people that work on those systems will do the alpha testing in groups of 50 or 100 or something, where they will take the products and they will run them through several accounts and just kind of barely put a little weight, put a little bit of a load on them to see, will they make it through the process? You know, will they do what they're supposed to do, or is purported that they will do, without crashing and burning? If they make it through that, then the next step that we're going to do is put those into what we call beta testing. Beta is when we move it from the alpha platform and we bring it out into the GoFounders platform. And now we're going to run those programs and all those products through more than 500,000. Right now we're sitting over 600,000 accounts, right? So when we get the products and they put it into beta, they might start with, 500 accounts and then 1,000 and 2. They're going to ramp it up over a period of time. They're going to get it moving. It's kind of, think of it like this, if you will. Remember the Ringling Brothers, the circuits, and the guy would come out, would stick a plate on there and he'd spin a plate and he'd get the plate going. He's like, okay, that's good. Now we'd stick another one, stick another plate up there. And after a while, he's got lots of plates going on, right? That's what we're going to do with these products. You're going to start off slow, but you're going to ramp them up and you're going to put them under a load. And by that, I mean, if you've ever taken like a car battery, you want to test it, you take it to the shop and say, can you tell me if this is a good product or a good battery? The guy says, sure. He puts it under a load, right? He puts something on that battery that draws power from it. That's what we're doing with these products. We're going to put a load on them to see how they act when they're being, when they're under pressure. After a day, 2 days, 3 days, depending on how quickly they ramp up, how much load they put, and if something cracks or breaks, and obviously a digital platform isn't going to crack, but I'm saying if you get truncated values, if you get things that go wrong and the system crashes or it won't function, you got to figure out what's wrong. So then you fix it and you start the process over. And that's why we can't say how long are you going to be in soft launch. Well, as long as it takes. I mean, these things might run and purr like kittens in a week, and bang, guess what? We're good to go. But you may get we don't know what to expect, really. I mean, these are excellently done. They're top notch. They're created from scratch. They got the best checks in the world. But until we put them under a load, we don't know how they're going to act. So that's going to be the beta. Now, when we're in the beta, the part of the founders' responsibilities are to get in there and push the buttons and play with them and see how they all work and see if they can break them and click all the links, right? And talk to the AI and build the web and do whatever the products are supposed to do. That's what's going to test them. And when you start having 500,000 people get in there and do that, that's the beta. That's the beta right there. Now, going out of beta, right? We're going to end up going into what we call a hard launch. As soon as we do that hard launch, no more founders are going to be taken. Whatever we've got, and that's it. And we have them. You're there for life and for generations. Okay, 30 years from now, our grandkids can go back into the ONPASSIVE archives and say, "Wow, my great grandma Tyra, she was an original founder, and look at all the stuff that she did," because all your stuff will be there for posterity, right? They'll be able to look at it. And after we launch, the founders are going to be sought out by media. I mean, trust me, you're going to get a face full. So anyway, once we hit the hard launch, then we open up to no more founders, but the founders are resellers, right? And we are customers. We can be customers, but since we're already resellers, I mean, founders, we're already in and we got everything. So we're everything. Yeah. To be a seller, it simply means that you want to market, or you want to have ONPASSIVE market ONPASSIVE's products, and you want to be one of those that gets the profits shared, right? So OnPassive says, okay, we're going to let you be a seller. So we're going to hook you up a website and we're going to start marketing for you. And you're going to be paying the monthly subscription, and we're going to pay you to market our stuff. And it's going to work just like a founder, except founders got a lot more benefits. And oh, by the way, we're going to do the super campaigns for the founders, and we're going to build their teams for them. And you're going to be working to build your own team, and you're going to be paying us to build your team. But I mean, they'll still have it. It'll still work. They will still collect residual income, and they will become very successful over time. It just won't be nearly as fast or nearly as big as the founders. So there's also what we call customers. Now, customers are those folks that come in and say, hey, I've got a business, or I want a business. I'm going to set up a website. I'm going to get you and use all your tools to do that. And then I'm going to pay you to do my trafficking to sell my products. And that's what the customer is.
Right.
So the pricing is going to be the same regardless. If you're a founder, you're paying that monthly subscription, just like any reseller will be doing, and just like any customer will be doing. But the real crux of it here is, if you think of a customer that comes in and says, right now I'm paying $800 a month for my website and for my email and for my bulk mailing and for my VPN and for my funnels and for yada, yada, yada. And you scratch your head and go, wait a minute, I've got access to not only that, but 50 other standalone products, all for 1/3 of what I'm paying. I would be an idiot not to become a reseller. And they're going to click a button to become a reseller. And now they get everything that OnPassive has for the same thing they were just paying. Plus, now they're also a reseller. So they're getting residual income from that. And they just joined the races. And life got real good for them. So I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. I
some.
think, if you guys can see this progression that he has built from being a founder and stepping into that and being in that exclusive kind of percentage, because there will only be so many, and then the doors are closed. We said that. And then, of course, you become a reseller as a founder, but also resellers can come in that want to start moving the business on their own and building it. And then, of course, customers. And that's how we are going to be able to begin to create residual income, right?
Yeah. Now, the customer, generally what you think of is a customer comes in first after launch. And then from a customer goes, whoa, I see the value. I want to become a reseller.
Right.
So
okay,
they won't be a reseller first, because they need to get in and see what we've got. It's a paradigm shift mentally for them as well.
Right. Yes. Okay. That makes sense. So before we move on to Julia's next question, something that arose out of that then is, you don't want to wait and say,
No.
okay, well, I'll wait and I'll become a customer and see what happens, because often people are saying, well, this company hasn't launched, who knows what's going to happen, yada, yada, I'll just wait. But they're really missing out if they end up waiting. Is that?
You really, really are. The whole point of people joining OnPassive is because they want to be successful. They want to earn money. I mean, think about it. Anything that we do because by doing that, it's going to make us feel better about ourselves and where we're going, right? When you join OnPassive, 97% of us are doing it because they want the dollar, right? They want the dollar. I'm not stupid. That's why I wanted it. I mean, I thought originally I'm going to get my wife, my 3 kids, some family members in, some friends. I'm done. I got my dozen positions. I'll ride it out. Life is good. Well, it didn't work that way because I really caught fire. But you want to be the founder, because when you are a founder, there are benefits that are going to take you over the moon.
Right.
Primarily, you're going to be able to pre-build your network and your net worth before we even get close to launch. And by that, I mean, right now, we're not in the beta, right? When we go into beta, you'll know, I should have probably said this earlier, you'll know when we hit beta, because you're going to see a price increase. And a lot of folks says, oh, when are we going to do soft launch? Well, they're really wanting to know, when am I going to make some money? Okay.
Exactly.
What we are in soft launch. It's just the alpha stage of soft launch. When we go into beta, you'll know that because that price is going to go up. It's going to go up. And then when we're in the beta, they're going to be testing the marketing and the money flow programs. Okay, that means if you're testing a money flow, you got to have money, right? That's why we're increasing the price. And part of that price increase is going to be paid out to the founders during pre-launch. Okay, so that's another benefit. You're going to earn some money before we even launch. Chances are, especially if you've been active, you're going to earn the cost of your founderships back in spades before we even launch to the public. Now, on top of that as well, not only are you going to earn money there, but the marketing campaigns that are being done in pre-launch are going to build the founders' teams. In other words, you're going to put founders in your founders' teams. So, you know, guess what? Every founder in your team, even if a founder's in a founders team, they all get to build teams. And guess who's going to build the teams for the founders? ONPASSIVE is. So all these folks out there that are struggling with getting traffic and building teams and sending emails and doing the marketing and trying to track it and trying to collect the payments, all that stuff, it's going to be done for you. Heck, that's why we say it, done for you. It's a done for you thing. So to kind of recap the whole thing, the reason you want to be a founder is because it's massively beneficial to you and to your family from here throughout in perpetuity. I mean, perpetually for generations. It will grow and grow and grow residual income, and ONPASSIVE will build your teams for you, as opposed to coming into a customer and having to pay them and more slowly build your team. It'll still work, but if you come in as a founder and you start building your teams, and then when you hit launch, if you've already got 10, 15, 20, 100 people in your team, you're going to do in 5 months what it'll take somebody else a year to do.
Right. Yes.
You want to be a founder. That's the premier position.
That's the spot to be.
That's a good point, which brings me to my next question, Jeffrey. So a lot of people are really worried about the word recruit. Okay. So pre-launch and soft launch as a founder, because it's not, it doesn't even once we hard launch, the founder positions are gone. So I just wanted you to touch on what people worry about. In ONPASSIVE, you can be passive, where you let the company do everything for you, or you can be active, where you can build a team, and it's just a matter of what your timeline is, right? So is there a monthly quota or requirement involved to achieve your position in the company? So for instance, if I were to come in and then bring people in to this business, do I have to recruit a whole bunch of people in order to make a lot of money, or is it just, or will the company do it all for me?
That's a very real fear, and it's well founded. Let me tell you, I have been lied to so many times in my past. It's like, oh man, if I hear another one. The short answer is no. Now, you're right, recruiting, and there's one other, sales. Those are the biggest turnoffs for anybody. People just do not like, some do. I mean, you get Marty and Mike, man, they're salesmen. I mean, they love it. Me, I've never been, I don't like to have to sell or recruit. No. But selling and recruiting are the biggest negative buzzwords in any kind of an industry at all. So the short answer is no. As a founder, you do not have to do either one if you don't want to. I would suggest you do, simply because when you start building a team, those are founders too. And those founders have teams. And every time you have a founder, there's going to be eventually a team built under that founder, and you are going to get paid for everybody under that founder. So, but you don't have to. If you come in, you buy one position, one founder position, sit back, you fold your hands and go, bah, humbug, we're going to see if it works. Mm-hmm. You wait for the soft launch. It goes through soft launch and you haven't done anything. So you didn't get anything in soft launch because you've got no teams and nobody's doing any recruiting for you. Even though we do expect, I mean, you may get something in soft launch, simply whether you're active or not.
Right.
I wouldn't count on it. but you might. So if it's just one founder and we hit the hard launch, we do the super campaigns, and Mr. Mufara said, I think more than once, that we expect minimally 3 founders for each founder for each super campaign, which probably equates to about 1 a month, because they're saying, you know, that the super campaigns will take up to 90 days. And I'm using 90 days, and I'm saying three in 90 days, that's 1 a month. So that's where the numbers are coming from.
Mhm.
Personally, I expect it to be much shorter, and I expect it to be much more fruitful. But I'm going to go with the 1 per month, right? Or the 3 per campaign. So if you've got one founder, then in the first 90 days, you're going to end up with 4 people. There's going to be you and 3 others. You go another 90 days and you got that 3 times 3 is 9, right? So now you've got 9 plus 4 is 13. Well, anyway, if you run that out for a year, right? Because now you've got the 3 plus the 9, and then 9 times 3 is plus 27, and then 27 times 3 is what, 54. So now you're up to 100 people in your team, and you are making some pretty good money. But it's been a year, but you're still making pretty good money, and that will continue and continue and continue. That's never going to stop unless for some reason. Well, no, it won't stop. You're a founder, and they will always build, and we're expecting to get minimally 100 million customers the first year, which tells me even if you're one founder and you've never done anything, you will still be, we're going to guarantee your success. We're going to force your success, and you will be successful. Now, we've also said, we encourage you, get somebody under your team, especially before we launch, because this is an opportunity. It's not costing you a dime to pre-build your network, right? So if you get 3, 4, 5 people in, and then guess what happens? You're active. We go into the beta. The beta is now not only paying you, because maybe 5 of those people just got five more under their teams, and that's 5 that are in yours. So you're going to get 10, 15, 20 bucks from that. Maybe you might get, go out and do 2 or 3 more, and you're going to get 60, 80 bucks from that. Well, what happens when the marketing starts happening in pre-launch, and now you've got your 5 or 6 or 7, and what happens if they triple your teams? So now you've got 18 before we've even launched. Look at what happens to you after we launch in that first 90 days. You multiply that, you just went from 18, and 90 days out, you're up over 50 people in your, guess what? And then 90 days out, you're 150. By halfway through the year, you're up over 200. You can see where that could be exponential, and it could be extremely benefit for you. You could really make some pretty good money, and it's not going to stop. So I would certainly encourage anybody, just if you think about it, you bring in 1 more founder and you just doubled your potential, right? Just bring in 1 and you doubled your potential.
Oh, I just totally have butterflies. You know, I say this every time Julia just laughs at me about my happy dance, because you're talking and it's like I'm going over those hills and you get the butterflies. It's just like, how can a person stay calm? Like, you just, when you start taking this in, and what you said, okay, it doubles and then it could triple, and it just keeps moving along. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Never seen before. Seriously, you guys.
And there are things in there we haven't even talked about. I mean, there's stuff that we haven't even talked about in that compensation plan, which, by the way, is totally proprietary. And I believe Mr. Mufara is working on a patent for it. We continually say this is not MLM, but nobody has anything to compare it to. They've never seen what we've got. It is not. Yeah. It's incredible. It is so far and radical out there that it's going to blow your mind. And there are things built into this compensation plan far above and beyond what we've talked about with just multiplying the numbers. I mean, there are things in there that are pretty slick. I love it. I love it.
You gotta love it. Okay, so then what happens? Let's say somebody registers as a founder. They paid their 97. They're all excited, but they forgot to sign. As people may not know, because it's a company, we have an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, that once you become a founder, you need to sign it. So let's say they paid their fee, they came in, they're super excited, but they didn't sign their NDA. What's going to happen to them?
Gotcha. Game over.
Oh,
Game over for them.
ah,
No, it's not game over, but it will pause. Now, you pay the 97. You do that by logging on. First of all, you register. You will get a confirmation email. Once you click the confirmation email to confirm your email address, it will then automatically, probably within 15, 18 seconds, send you login credentials for you to log in to pay the $97. Now,
Right.
once you do that, it's going to say it's all been paid. Now, if you're paying by check or charge card or something like that, it'll be 97, and I think there's a $5 fee, so $102. It's almost instantaneous, within a few seconds. If you're using Bitcoin, might take 24 hours simply because blockchain has got a lot of little quirks in there that it's got to be documented the whole way. If you're using Cash App, good luck. I think I would give it at least 48, sometimes 72 hours, simply because Cash App is a little slower. But long story short is, once it's paid, you're gonna be able to log back in using your credentials, and it's gonna dump you at what we call the NDA page. It's a non-disclosure agreement. It is a typical non-disclosure agreement. It's full of legalese that basically says, look, as a founder, you are going to become privy to a lot of information that we don't want out in the public. We've done real good about keeping it quiet. We've done real good about keeping it to ourselves. And we've done real good about keeping lots of it secret. So if you go out and start spreading secrets and we catch you, we're going to kick you out or do something a lot worse. So please don't do it. We love you. We want to keep you. We want to make you successful, but we got to protect what we've got with blood and bone. Okay. We're going to protect what we got. Right. So I just said all that to say, sign the NDA. Now, if you get all excited and you don't log back in and you don't sign the NDA, well, first of all, you're going to know something's wrong because you won't be able to log in. When you do log in, it's going to dump you right there. Perfect. If you're at that point, you're not going to get past that NDA until you sign it. So scroll down to the bottom. There's going to be two check marks. One's going to say, I'm the guy that owns this, or the young lady that owns it, or I'm the one that's accountable to this, and I have rights to this account. You click both of those, you sign your name, you click submit, bing, it goes off into digital hyperspace somewhere, and they say, great, you can log in now and you can do all your magic stuff. But if you do not sign that NDA, you will have zero access. It will not allow you access. You will not have anything to do with being able to use any of the tools in the back office. And you will not be a part of any of the marketing campaigns that we're going to do on your behalf. That's why about once a month, I've got hundreds and hundreds of people on my team, and 7 of them have not signed NDAs. And I go and say, look, you paid for it already. It's yours. But if you don't sign this NDA, you are throwing it away, because you will not have access to GoFounders. You will not have access to ONPASSIVE. You will not have access to and be part of any of the marketing campaigns. And you've already paid us to do those marketing campaigns. They're sitting, there's a half a dozen of them. They're called super campaigns. They're sitting, waiting. As soon as we launch, bang, they're going to launch the first one, right? 90 days out, or when that first one finishes, bang, they're going to launch the next one. And they're going to do it for a solid year. And I will guarantee you there will be millions and millions and millions and millions and more millions coming in as customers when they see the value and see what we've got. Please sign that NDA. It might scare you. You might think, oh, if I sign, well, if you don't sign it, you get nothing. Yeah. If I were you and you don't want to sign it, I just ask for your money back and get out of my pending team, because you're taking up space. And I don't mean to sound cruel, but I mean, seriously, sign the NDA and come in and be a part of this. Be an active part of this. And you are making history, not only for your family, but for a lot of folks in the world. I mean, we're going to lift humanity up, and this is one way we're doing it.
Right. So Absolutely. It's kind of nice because it's a fail safe. If say I paid and I'm a founder, but I haven't signed that NDA, the company has put in a fail safe that I can't actually go past that page until I sign that NDA.
That's right, because they don't want somebody in there that hasn't promised, then they're not going to give away our information. Right. Yeah. Until that's signed and accepted, right, digitally, it will not let you, you're right, that's a block, that's a roadblock.
Yeah. So it's good for me if I haven't signed it because it's right there in my face, but it also still protects the company. So we always say win-win. So this is another win-win because it's going to be in your face to get it signed, but it's also going to continue to protect the company. So
absolutely.
perfect.
And that's what you want.
It just doesn't make sense. You would pay the $97 or whatever country you're from, it's a little bit more or less, and not sign it. And it just doesn't compute in my head here because I want to learn more.
It's somewhat of a tilt moment for me too. I don't follow the logic of not signing it, but
teach his own, right?
Strange. We're all, we've got our own little idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, and some people get really stuck on the legal part of it, but yeah. So I'm just going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about products. And we were talking to some other guests previously, and everybody wants to know about the products. We know that they're legitimate and they're viable, and they can be utilized in every country that ONPASSIVE is in right now, where they're offered. Can you just kind of touch a little bit on how the products may work in regard to, for example, whether they're standalone or where they can be used together or as a package type thing, and how viable and legitimate they are?
Absolutely. Are there any particular ones you want to talk about, or do you want to just kind of go run the gambit?
Well, for me, let's go with the products that we've been talking about most recently. Things like, exclusive of Obless, because it's an entity of its own. We'll talk about more of the products that people will be eventually making money on. They want to know that products are legitimate, and that's what a lot of people's beefs are, because a lot of these other companies don't have a viable product. So
gotcha. Okay, well, wonderful. Well, let's just start with Obless then. Obless, you gotta love it. And for those folks that need to know what it is in a nutshell, think the word crowdfunding. If you understand crowdfunding, you're going to understand Obless, because Obless is going to let you connect with people worldwide to support any need that you need by raising funds for it quickly and easily. Okay. It is a it's a non-profit platform, a non-profitable platform. Well, either way, it's a non-profit, right? And it's to raise funds across the globe. So you're absolutely right. You can touch every culture on the globe with it. You can do all sorts of things for any kind of products or charities or any philanthropical endeavors that you want to go with. Okay. You can do the funding for that through Obless. And you can do it across multiple currencies as well as multiple countries. And it allows all sorts of things for you to be able to build things like searches. You can do searches on the time that it'll take, the size of the funding you're looking for. You can do it by industry or by country. You can do it by all sorts of other criteria. And it gives you an opportunity to be able to relay your cause or your personal endeavor with whatever community that you're trying to reach out to. It's a way to make others aware of that need and to bring funding into a central purse or a central wallet, in this case, a wallet for that cause. Key features to it would include, well, first of all, like GoFund, it's got a great dashboard and you can run all sorts of reports. You can do profile pages for your causes. You can research backers. You can do profiles for your funding people and your backers of your place there. You can upload videos, create campaigns, all sorts of stuff like that. And anything that you can do and more with crowdfunding, you can do with Obless. The big thing though with Obless is that money that comes in is all there. If you look at typical crowdfunding, it takes anywhere from 10 to 30% of whatever comes in to pay the people running the platform.
Right.
Nothing. Any money that comes in to this charity stays with it, and ONPASSIVE doesn't take a dime.
And now with the other products, are they, another question I had, it just reminded me, are they patented?
Well, yeah, we've written them from scratch. Everything that we've got, we own. They took no second party products. They didn't take, you know, an older product and pretty it up, put a bow on it and call it, written from scratch, from the ground up. We own it. We own it. Nobody else has it. It's ours. It's better than what's out there. It's streamlined. It's fresher. It's newer. It's cutting edge. And it's got everything, all the earmarks of success for it. Now, have they already done the patents? My guess is they're still in process, and that might be a long ways, but we own them. Nobody owns any part of ONPASSIVE. They never will. We will never have an IPO. It will never be publicly sold. It's always going to be ONPASSIVE, and ONPASSIVE was built for the founders and for the masses. So to answer your question, is it patented? Probably not yet, but my guess is it's certainly in the works.
Okay, that's awesome.
Oh, interesting.
So let's go back to founding positions now. I mean, there are amazing products, the ones we've seen. We could talk about that. We could do a whole show on just the 3 or 4 we know about that are coming out already. But what I want to go back to, for people that are curious about ONPASSIVE, that are learning about it or thinking, or maybe on the fence. Now, as a founding position, we can, you'll answer this for me, we can or we cannot leave it in a will.
Your position? Yeah, absolutely. This is willable. This is, yes, that's, you know, and that's good. That's a very good question. We so quickly, we kind of gloss over. We say, oh, leave a legacy, leave it. A lot of folks may not understand what legacy means. When we say legacy, we're talking inheritance. We're saying you leave a legacy for your family. We are literally saying you leave this as an inheritance for your family. It is willable to your family, and it will generate perpetually residual income for generations upon generations upon generations, and it will build and build and build and build. Now, with that, there's also a couple of little things that we can explain here. And obviously, if you have accounts that you want to start, say, for your children or future children, you can do that. But you need to maintain control of those, especially if they're underage, because the accounts really need to be held by somebody of legal age. You can't give it to a 6-year-old because they're not able to have a business at that age. They need to be at whatever country you're in. I think for the US it's 18. Other countries may be different, but you can have multiple accounts with your name or other names, even the names of your children, as long as you maintain control of that account, so that when they become of age, you can turn that over to them in 1 of 2 or 3 different ways. The first and the easiest way for you to do that is simply turn over the email and the passwords and give them access and let them go in and change it all and take the account over. That's the easiest way. Now, if for some reason, say for instance, if I happen to kick the bucket tomorrow, and my wife would say, oh, gee, you know, I'm glad Jeffrey did this because I've got all the passwords on this list, and she can now get my death certificate or whatever else is needed as documentation and do a support ticket saying Jeffrey was the former owner of this. He died yesterday. Here's the information you asked for. I need to have the accounts put into my name and that like that. I mean, she won't have to do that because she'll have access to everything and she just puts her own name in them. Of course, she'll have all hers anyway, and it's all going into one wallet. So, but you understand what I'm saying? If there is a catastrophic event, somebody comes incapacitated, or they die, or something happens, then there will be legal ways that you can also transfer the account, as well as willing them or leaving them as a legacy.
That's good. That's the thing. Sometimes people need that, what would you say, validity you know,
Sure.
that
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
not,
Yeah.
you know, it's not just some little thing or some fly by night something. It's a major situation that you're going to want to make sure you've looked after it and put it in a will because of the kind of residual income that can
Oh,
come from that.
absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes. You know, I've got, this is a very sad case, a sad scenario, but I've got a guy, he's in my team and he died. He had 6 positions.
Oh dear.
His wife had no idea. Nobody that he's around had any idea. Nobody knows the passwords to his email. I mean,
Oh,
Oh boy.
think about that.
oh, that's too
10
bad.
years from now, that could be generating thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month. And it's stuck in limbo because nobody knows. I mean, eventually we'll probably work through support and do something, but right now it's kind of in limbo and nobody really knows what's going on. So it's very, very important. And I did indicate yesterday in talking with Julie and Milo on their show, and I stressed and said, please, if you have an account or multiple accounts, put them somewhere. Give a list with the passwords and the logon steps so that if something were to happen to you,
Yeah.
somebody's got it and they can continue with this, because this is, yeah, this is a business. This is a business that will generate lots and lots of money for somebody. And if something happens to the account holder and nobody knows it's there, oh, that's just no good. That's no good for that family.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be any fun at all. So just to kind of bring it around, it's 97 USA to become a founder. Then we're looking at 250 to under maybe to $100, in that 100 to 250, you know, in that for a subscription, which
It's a
you'll pay
monthly subscription, yeah.
one time out of pocket, correct?
Well, it's a monthly subscription,
Mhm.
which means it is paid monthly. But what we're expecting is that it's kind of like priming the pump. You pay the first month out of pocket, and then because of the marketing and the targeted traffic and the sales and all of that, we're expecting the following month is going to be paid by the account. So you should already be making more than it costs for the account by the second
Right.
month, so that that money can then pay for that account. You can start pulling residual income.
Right.
That's what we're
Okay.
expecting.
Right. Right.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Hey.
Yeah. So that's what another thing that brought me into this business is the lack of competition between each other. I just can't believe how many people are willing to help everybody. No matter where you turn, you look sideways and you're thinking, okay, what's the catch? What do they want out of me, kind of thing. But I've never seen a business where you're not competing or you're not guarding what you have, and the people are actually out there to help you. It just blows my mind, and that's pretty much what the clincher was.
Absolutely is. Absolutely it is. It's, man, you are going to get me on the soapbox.
Sorry.
When I initially came out with that ebook and said the paradigm shift that is, now a paradigm is a model. It is a model of something. So you're shifting the current model to something else. Now, you know as well as I do, we grew up in the sciences that we had in the day, said that it's competition, survival of the fittest, everybody's out for themselves, nobody's going to try to give you something for nothing, the whole 9 yards. And that's how we're reared. And that's kind of where humanity's gone, and that's why we're in the trouble that we're on. Now, if you look at some of the great masters that have walked the earth, if you look at biblically, for instance, and where Jesus said, you know what, I think somewhere in Isaiah, he said, I dare you, see if you can give more than me. And you start giving, and you start giving of yourself. And I don't mean tithing. I don't mean giving 10% of your money. I mean, he says, as a man thinketh, so is he, which is basically saying that whatever you put out there, you're going to sow what you reap. That's the law of sowing and reaping. So whatever you put out, it's going to come back to you. So that means if I go out and I help a founder become a founder, somewhere down the path, somebody's going to bring that back to me. If I go out and I help my neighbor's yard, somewhere down the road, that's going to come back to me. And that's the whole philosophy here about lifting up humanity, is because he has built this business on a radical, I'm going to say new idea, although it's been around, we've just never used it. The radical idea of benefit for everybody, right? Mutual benefit and connectedness. And there's no philosophy on the planet that's worth its salt that says that we're individuals and we're out for ourselves and that's the only way. Everybody talks about our connectedness, that we're all one, we're all connected, we're all universally connected, and we all can feel this and do this. And the more we reach out and help each other, the bigger and stronger that energy gets. You saw the momentum. You saw it when we first started. Oh man, think about this. In 2018, when we started this, it was supposed to be this little thing. He said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of getting beat up. I've been taken, I've been lied to, I've been cheated, I've been scandaled. I'm done. I'm going to build a platform for these marketers that can't seem to make it because I know how they feel. And we're going to dump 100 grand into it. And in 3 months, we're going to launch and we're going to make some people successful. People bought into that. And they bought into it in such a phenomenal way that it took us, I think, if you look at my last video that I put out, the 600K, the 600,000,
Yes.
the journey to 600, somewhere in November, December, we hit 8,000. Ash was expected tops 3,000 to 5,000 before we launched. It took off. By December, going into January, we were double digits. Absolutely. By March, we were 30,000, or June, 40. I mean, we just started climbing. And that was only the beginning. And that's when we started saying, whoa, wait a minute. We just outgrew ourselves, and all the developers saying, whoa, time out. We can't handle this. We weren't prepared for this. We better inject some more money. We better get a better plan, because we only had that general plan, right?
Right.
90-day launch. I mean, I was expecting to launch in February. Hey, I had my dozen positions. I was ready to go. Didn't happen. It took off. We took off. And the more people that said, wow, I'm in this to help everybody. And then we started talking about all the great things. And you see what's going on in the world. I'm going to try to be real good here. Okay. I did a couple of pieces that talked about chaos.
Hang on.
Yeah, chaos is not a bad word. Chaos simply means that we are between systems, right? It's kind of like I used with the caterpillar. You know, you got the caterpillar with all the legs, and then it goes into a dormant cocoon. And inside that caterpillar, if you open it up, it's a bunch of gook. Doesn't look like it's anything. But really what is happening is you're taking everything that was good about the caterpillar, and it's being used and redone to become something else. Okay? Anything that can be used is being used. So the caterpillar eyes are going to be the butterfly eyes. It's going to be modified. The legs are going to be, they're going to be modified. Everything. And what comes out the other end is something a lot more majestic, a lot more useful, a lot more mobile, a lot more beautiful, a lot bigger, better, stronger, faster, and sweeter, right?
Mm.
This is what's happening with the world. We are in so many chaotic positions there is not a system on earth, whether it's political, whether it's religious, whether it's economic, whether it is with business, or whether it's educational, or whether it's medical. There's none of them that aren't in trouble at some point somehow, and they're all fixing to collapse into this. And guess what? ONPASSIVE rolls around and says, you know what? We see what's happening with social media. We see all the stuff that is going on behind the scenes with the political scenes. We see all these Kabbalistic leaders and these big, high up, very powerful people that are manipulating everything that's going on. He said, and we're not going to be a part of it. We are going to be, like he says, the correction to the corruption. And now we have gotten so big so fast that when these systems start to crash out, we're going to be there to pick the pieces up. People are going to migrate to us, no matter what they're doing. I mean, look at what we've got here. We've got a market cap of how many billions of people use the internet? Every one of them have a reason to come to us. Every one of them. So it doesn't matter whether you're in the political arena, or whether you're in medical, or whether you're in educational. We have those products, those 50 departments that we now have, right? And those 20 products that we have coming out, every one of them, the old Academy, the old Bless, the ONET, I mean, all of them have a legitimate, real, responsible use and a real, legitimate, and responsible platform to accept those people, right? So when Facebook crashes, they're going to come to our version of Facebook. Or when Zoom crashes, which they will after we launch, because they will have no choice. I mean, they're going to be history. Simple as that. But what I'm saying is that is what ONPASSIVE is about. It's about the new sciences that's saying, hey, we can help each other. We don't need to compete with each other. We can lift each other up. And by doing this, we can lift humanity. And as the, what I call the rising tide of economics, when the bay goes up, every ship in the bay goes up. And that's what we're doing here. So that the founders, now numbering, you know, we have active accounts of over 600,000. If you can think of the globe and then think of it inside maybe a basketball net or a net, and every cross of that net is a founder, and every culture, we're going to be earning money in that culture beyond what we need. Okay. Right. And so we're going to be able to give, and that's the mindset of what we're doing. So when you become a founder, that is exactly what you want. That's where you want to be. That is the greatest good. That is for the culture and the globality and goodness of economics and the future, lifting up of humanity, so that the people across the globe that we may or may not even know about can now have enough on their table, can now have shoes on their feet that we can give to them. And that's why Obless is so beautiful, because it allows us not only to go out beyond the walls of ONPASSIVE, but within the walls of ONPASSIVE. Think about this. Now, Mr. Mufar says, you know what? My family doesn't need much. If I can get $1,000 a day, we can live fine. But I want to give away for the business $1 million a day, and we'll have 1 million founders. Think about that. If every day one founder gives $1, that is $1 million a day. Oh. See, I mean, can you imagine the good that we're going to be able to do? Especially when you have that mindset that says, I'm not in it for me. We're going to fill our tanks first. We're going to have enough. We're going to have more than enough. We'll have some set over here for a rainy day, and all this other stuff. I'm going to walk it across the street. I'm going to give it to the young lady, the 2 kids, right? We've got that might need it. Or I'm going to go downtown Washington. I want to go into these little shops, and I want to say, how much for everything? And they say 8,000. I write them a check, say, I'm buying everything, but now mark everything half off and sell it to somebody else. So, or something like that. I mean, man, whatever you can do with your imagination is what you're going to be able to do. But I go back, and I'm sorry, I digress. I get excited. I love this. You know, Mr. Mark, it's awesome. As far as mindset is just, it blows me away sometimes. The simplicity of what he has done, that nobody's had and I love what he said. I've got the will, I've got the resource, and I've got the motivation to do this. And we're doing this. It's a done deal. It's a done deal. Wonderful. You know, so, all right, I'm going to step down off my box.
You're on your soapbox.
Oh, I get going. Yeah, you ought to get me going when I start talking quantum. You know, oh, look out.
Well, and I mean, right there, you can see why it's so disruptive, because it totally shifts the way we think. Because people have struggled and tried to eke out a living, and then maybe help a little bit here and there. But when you shift that and you make a system that is successful for everyone on that level playing field, I believe that's how God always created or always wanted us to function, is to play level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at every system on earth, every natural system. You look at your body. How many, 60 trillion cells, every one of them working in unison to make us and create what we are and how we are. Same thing. I mean, you don't see the birds out there fighting each other. I mean, it's all harmonistic, and everything is built on smaller things. So just like ONPASSIVE is a beast of a business, right? It is massive. It is made of, right now, 500,000 founders. Those are the cells of ONPASSIVE, and each and every one of the cells of ONPASSIVE carry the mother trait, if you will, of we're here for mutual benefit, and we're going to help humanity, and we're going to do what's right because it's right. And this is the way that we prosper, and this is the way that we have things done right, and this is how we're going to do it from here on out. And this is why it's so disruptive. It's more than disruptive, because not only is ONPASSIVE disruptive to the online internet way of things, but the radical business sense. It's disruptive to business models, saying no longer are you going to be able to put your thumb on the wage worker, or, you know, hey, John, come over here. Let me talk to you. You know, boss employee put his arm around and look. So, you know, you've been working really hard for me, and I really appreciate that. And you know what? As long as you continue to work hard, I can tell you, I can keep that big house on the hill. This is going to go to John, right? We're all going to have more than what we need, and we're all going to be part of something big, and we can feel good about it. We can feel good about what we're doing. And that net around the globe that we're talking about is a distribution center. That's exactly what we are becoming. And that's the mentality that we want to have for the founders. The founders, when they come in, we don't want them to, and some came in. I mean, how many of us came in and said, oh, I want the money. And then after you got in, went, whoa, this is so much bigger, so much more fantastic, and so much better than anything I ever thought. Here I was worried about getting my dollar bill. Now, guess what? I can get more than I need. It can be a legacy, and it can be an inheritance. And like Dr. Williams says, it can be a dynasty if you want. But not only that, I can help those that aren't in it. I can bring people in, or I can walk things across the street or down the road, or I can create things through Bless, whatever you can imagine. Oh, here I go again. Sorry.
That's okay. Tyra, I think Ty has something to ask Jeffrey.
Yes, I was going to mention Ty.
I know Ty. I love Ty. It's good to see him.
He has sat so patiently here, and he wanted to say something, and we're more than happy to let you say something, Ty. Jump in.
I have a habit of jumping in without asking, so.
Okay, well, we'll watch you then.
I love it. I love it.
Because of what he says, you know, because what he said, it is what it is. I mean, Jeffrey, if you look at any of his videos, and I'm telling this because it's historical, and I hope this is a recording, because then many people might look at it one day, right? I'm telling you that Jeffrey knows a lot of detail because I don't know, he just gifted that way, and he can articulate everything about ONPASSIVE in detail to actually you don't have any questions. I ain't got any questions because of him.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I actually bought more positions because of him.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So every time he got on his soapbox, there's times where like, wow, I'm getting one under this person. ONPASSIVE Nation, I got 3 under ONPASSIVE Nation because of the way they grow their team, the way they grow.
Yeah.
And I know this from experience of watching everything online. I've been online for a long time trying to make money and create money for other people, not just me. It's never been just about me. I always loved to share, always did. And thank you for allowing me to share about Jeffrey. I love Jeffrey. He's just awesome.
Thank you. Well, you know what? You're absolutely right, Ty. Your message has always been outward bound, and it's never been about the me or the I or the ego. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love you so much. I like to hear what you got to say, because it makes sense. But you're a plain speaker. You speak plainly. You speak from the heart, you know, and God knows we need that. God knows we want to be that. We want to be transparent. We do not want to be hiding things or harboring secrets or trying to convince something of, you know, I don't even try to convince people. I just share it, you know. Thank you, Ty.
Yeah.
Well, exactly what I was going to say is that, I mean, some people just don't want to hear about it. And I'm not even going to go the negative route. It's just, you want to not necessarily preach to the people who actually want it in life and can see it, but until you get into it, then it's just like, oh, this is what ONPASSIVE is all about. At the beginning, I was kind of like dabbling like you guys, and now that I'm actually in it, I paid my $97 and I've done some searching and I'm getting to know people and stuff like that. I'm in it for life. So until you actually pay the $97 and get a little taste, a little feel of whatever, and then the law of attraction hits you in the head and blah blah blah, then you just don't know. Like, so that's my spiel.
Yeah. That's awesome. Jeffrey,
and that's what it's about.
Yeah.
But it feels good. I wasn't kidding earlier when I said anything. Check it out. Think about this. Anything you do, anything I do, anything anybody does is for one reason, because we feel better when we do it. Period. Period.
Exactly.
Everything we've ever done is done because we feel better when we do it.
Yeah.
This feels so good. It feels so right. It is so on fire in my brain sometimes that it becomes overwhelming. I mean, sometimes I've just got to really take a back. I praise God that I have got things that I like to study, because otherwise I'd be 24/7 on passive, and I'd probably drive everybody in my family, including my wife, insane. But there's so many things, and this touches, it's not just on passive. I was alluding to a little while ago about where the world is and where the world is going. And we are the beginning. We are on passive is the first in a long line of changes that are helping to lift. And again, I would use that web around of founders, because we have an on-passive consciousness. Okay, we have an on-passive consciousness, and there are, oh man, I'm going to get in trouble here. Let's see. As we grow in on passive, and the founders take on this hue of, I'm in it to win it for mutual benefit and to raise humanity, that is a higher vibration of consciousness, and we start gaining more momentum. And the more we do that, the more, if you've ever been around anybody that's, I love this. Last week I had my granddaughter here, and she likes, when she goes to bed, I'll lay down and read a little story, or we'll talk or something. And so I forget what happened, but she started laughing and I started laughing. And then she was laughing more. And for like 15 minutes, we just were laughing. They have no idea what I was laughing about. But on passive, it's like that. Yeah. Consciousness and energy is like that. Where you put your focus, right? Where you put your energy and your focus, that's where it's going to go. That's yes. The consciousness that we have with on passive is gaining momentum simply because that's what happens. You get more of it together, and it becomes more exponential. It becomes what I call a gestalt, so that we may have 50 products and be a company, but we are much more than a company with 50 products, because we have this driving impetus, this momentum, and this consciousness of lifting humanity and doing what's right because it's right. And the more we do that, the more it's brought back into us, because we're putting out good stuff. More stuff is coming, and we're growing. And that bulb is like, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And so we are going to be an absolutely phenomenal distribution center for the entire world. But there's going to be, we're the first in the series of models. We're literally forging the way here. We really are. Yeah. There's never been a company like OnPassive. Yeah. They've never been a compensation plan like OnPassive has gotten. There's never been a total internet solution like OnPassive. Okay, it's making so many firsts in so many different roads, right? And it's carved so many inroads in the wilderness that we were living in, and that we can now see, wow, up there, it's going to be great. But there will be others that fall in behind us and try to duplicate what we're doing. So, but as a founder, man, you're creme de la creme. I mean, you're the top of the heap.
Yeah. Well, we could say, OnPassive is a trailblazer, and just bringing that, what Jeffrey said, and I just want to wrap it up now, is that I've heard Michael say this time and time again. Michael Williams is one of our leaders also in OnPassive, and he has said time and time again, if you get in it, you're going to win it. And you've heard from Jeffrey today, everything he said in this last hour and a bit has been in that direction. There isn't a way to lose. There isn't.
Right. Yeah.
Only forward. That trailblazing, that shifting, that paradigm shift, if you will. All those kind of little acronyms or cliches, or however you want to say it. But OnPassive is a way for people to make that shift, people that have been unsatisfied with so much of the jargon out there that promised something and never delivered. And now here we are today. So Jeffrey, in wrap up, have you got anything you want to say before we say goodbye, everyone?
No, just get in. Just get in and figure it out later. You won't have to do it alone. We don't do it alone, and we don't compete. The founders, we're not even competing against each other. We're helping each other build each other's teams. And man, I mean, I can't tell you how many videos I've got out there that are worldwide, translated into different languages. I just give them away. Give them away. The more value that you put out and you give away for nothing, if it's value, it's going to come back to you. Go look at I did a video a long time ago. It's called The Skeptic's Redemption, and I talk about the skeptic and cynic's mindset. You know, if you're a skeptic, get in. We got a cure for you. If you're a you know, seriously, well, I explain how the mind works and why you're a skeptic, right? Why you're a cynic.
Yeah.
We're the cure. Come in. We will help you. We can help that. You know, and even if it's just kicking and screaming, buy it and grit your teeth. Get in. We can help you, and we will help you build. It's beautiful. That's great.
That's Jeffrey, thank you so much for taking the time today to be with us. And even Ty, you patiently listened to us. You have great, we're going to have to get you on the show one of these days. I know that you have a whole bunch to say too, so we'd love to have you. So everyone, thank you very much. We want to encourage you to subscribe to TN Grow Wealth Together and AJ Internet Solutions, or if you need to reach out to any of us, we're all available on YouTube. You can find Jeffrey there too. And as he said, we're all helping each other. We're in this together, people. So thank you very much. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye for now.
Thank you.